From Dark Souls to Demon Souls to Bloodborne to Sekiro, the Souls-like genre of games is slowly expanding. Code Vein is a new take on the genre from the studio behind God Eater, Shift. Code Vein is a solid game whose story takes a while to feel impactful, but the gameplay is very fun. Code Vein's gameplay is incredibly customizable. Both your weapons and armor change your offensive abilities. Your armor, known as Blood Veils, will change your maneuverability, while your weapon also does so based on the weight of it. There's a class system where you can learn new skills and master skills as well. Mastering these skills allows you to equip them onto other classes, so as long as you meet the additional requirements any skill may have. Overall, the equipment system is very deep and may seem intimidating at first since there are a lot of numbers on the screen, but it gets a lot less difficult to understand as you progress through the game. The combat itself is fluid. Hitboxes and hurtboxes are carefully tuned to make combat feel fair. There were several abrupt difficulty spikes during my playthrough of the game. Most of the mid-game bosses feel relatively easy, while some of the earlier and endgame bosses feel much harder. For my first Souls-like experience, I thought this game would be a lot more difficult. However, it was relatively fun, and only posed challenge when it felt like it needed to. There are some things I think could have been harder to do, but I don't really have any gripes with how the difficulty of the game plays out. While we're on the topic of gameplay, I realized I forgot to talk about the multiplayer at all. Considering half the time I played this game, I was in multiplayer. Now, I completed the game solo with a companion, an AI companion. But when I went to play multiplayer with my friends, the process to do it felt very ancient, I guess. It was very counterintuitive, and I understand that this is supposed to be like a difficult game, and or not difficult, but like Souls-like, and I don't really know how multiplayer functioned in previous Dark Souls games, but like, I have to disconnect when I die and reconnect to get back, and then I have to like send out a distress signal and I have to search for a distress signal. It feels like way too complicated instead of just like letting people play together. And maybe that's just the way they wanted to do it, so that it's like it discourages you from having like an ease in a play session. Like you can't heal, can't really grind either. And if you want to unlock skills, the person in your session has to leave. And it's like, why would you program your game like that? I don't really know programming, so whatever. But it felt so much more complex than it needed to be, and it makes playing multiplayer somehow slightly more annoying than some of the boss fights in this game. It's fantastic. The multiplayer is not bad. The multiplayer runs perfectly fine. Everything about multiplayer is perfectly fine. I had a lot of fun playing multiplayer. It's just a pain in the ass, in my opinion, in comparison to pretty much any other game out there on the market right now. Code Vein's narrative raises a lot of questions. It's not particularly fast at answering most of these, and for what it's worth, I could barely describe the story to someone in the first few hours of the game. But the narrative eventually settles into itself and creates an interesting plot. As for character development, vestiges can be found scattered around the world. These unlock the memories of your teammates and allow you to see what made them who they are. While I don't really enjoy trying to find character development, the game doesn't really make it hard to find. For the most part, when you uncover new parts of the map, it's fairly obvious where there will be something hidden and where there won't be something hidden. I think the system overall is less intrusive than some other games where you had to find character development. Code Vein absolutely shines with its character creation. There are tons of options to choose from faces to accessories, hairstyles, and more. Everything is available to tune to your liking. Graphically, the game gets the job done. It has some of the best visuals for its art style, and the environments are also relatively visual appealing. But they also have the problem of looking very similar as you progress through certain stages. As a common example used by the community, the Cathedral of Sacred Blood is my least favorite area in the game because I kept getting lost because everything looks the goddamn same. So the map kind of helps, but for the most part, you're going to be looking for how to get around without a map. The way the vestiges present memories is a lot less intuitive, I want to say, than I expected it to be. I thought it would just be simple cutscenes. However, they are presented in kind of a what I guess I would describe like walking down a hallway and looking at different fractions of a memory while hearing the voiceover play as you did so. Kind of reminds me of a Disney realm, like a really simple Disney realm. But nonetheless, the voice acting really helps get the job done, as if you play a lot of English dubbed games, you'll recognize a lot of the voice actors, and they all do fantastic jobs with their parts. Code Vein is an experience well worth the money. It's fun, difficult at times, and extremely engaging. A lot of it is customizable, and it's a lot of fun to fool around with the customizations as well. Finding all the different classes and learning new abilities, the game really shines in almost every area. However, with its level design, it can get kind of annoying. And it's not really a deal breaker, but I would have liked it if the level designs were, not confusing sometimes. 'Cause at the end of the day, there are only a few that are really that confusing, but it could have been better. Like they could have like changed the colors or something. There are a lot of things they could have done with that area and a few other areas in the game. But overall, I think Code Vein is a fantastic game. If you pick it up, you're probably going to have a lot of fun. And it's worth giving it a shot.